Welcome to the Last Christian Radio Show with your hosts, Brother J.D. Williams and Brother TL Farley. It's now time to grab your Bible as prophecy brings into focus the events playing out on the world stage at incredible speed, right before our very eyes, and exactly as was foretold.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Last Christian Radio Show. My name is J.D. Williams, and I'm joined here in the Dallas and Fort Worth area by Mr. TL Farley. How you doing tonight, Terry?
Doing okay. It's a Saturday night, and UT's battling for a win tonight.
Yeah, well, I paused it, so I have no idea what's going on right now and don't want to. But anyway, I did pause it after the first quarter. Anyway, okay, here's the deal. First of all, I do want to thank everybody for sticking with us through all of our trials and tribulations trying to get this new live thing going. As you know, we used to record them and then play them all on all the platforms at a later time, and now we're trying to go live and worldwide throughout the entire programming. And I also want to thank everybody for continuing to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is greatly appreciated, not for Terry and I, but for the glory of Jesus Christ. The channel continues to grow. Amen. The views continue to go on, and even though we had a Tuesday fiasco, Thursday really picked up. A lot of people came back again. We appreciate that. And hopefully we won't run into those situations anymore. But anyway, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you get a chance. Leave us a comment, share the videos. It is all greatly appreciated. Terry, there's a lot going on in the world, and it all equates into Matthew 24, and also into Ezekiel 38, and even Isaiah 17. We see a whole lot going on. Plus, of course, we have the elections that are coming up next Tuesday, and I want to remind everybody that Terry and I are going to go live with a election special on Tuesday, November the 8th. Now, the first half of the show is not going to be live. The first half of the show is going to be recorded. That's for all of you guys that do not get the full programming. We're not going to draw you in just to leave you hanging. So we're going to go ahead and just record something a little bit neutral. We may mention some exit polls or something like that, but that's going to be about it. We're going to stick with a more Christian format for the first half of the show. And in the second half of the show, we're really going to go crazy. I'm going to bring you up to date on races that are going on. As a member of the U.S. Press Association, I do have access to a lot of information out there, and I'm going to try to keep you current. There's certain states that we're going to be watching very, very carefully for Senate races, congressional races, governor's races, all that. But anyway, we'll get into all that next Tuesday. For tonight, this is, of course, the weekend review for Saturday, November the 5th, 2022. And yes, there is breaking news, and yes, there is a lot of Bible prophecy coming out there as well. And this is our wrap of the week, Terry, and we got a lot to wrap up, don't we?
Yes. Yes, we do.
All right.
And didn't come too soon.
There you go. Well, I'm gonna play the news like we always do. Really short, guys, as you know. We just kind of wrap it up for the week. So here we go.
Here's the latest from the KRRB newsroom. Former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has won this week's Israeli election. Final results showed Thursday, clearing the way for him to return to power.
The former leader looks on track to put together a right-wing religious coalition with ultra-Orthodox and far-right extremist parties.
Today we have won a huge vote of confidence.
A gunman opened fire at a protest rally in eastern Pakistan on Thursday, slightly wounding former Prime Minister Imran Khan in the leg and killing one of his supporters, his party and police said. 9 other people were also hurt.
The gunman was immediately arrested, and police later released a video of him in custody, allegedly confessing to the shooting and saying he acted alone. It was not clear under what conditions he made his statement. Only Imran Khan was my target, said the suspect, identified as Faisal Butt by Information Minister Maryam Aurangzeb. Khan underwent surgery at Shaukat Khanum Hospital in Lahore, tweeted Omar Ayub Khan, a senior leader of the ex-premier's Tehreek-e-Insaf party.
The Ethiopian government and regional forces from Tigray agreed to cease hostilities, a dramatic diplomatic breakthrough 2 years into a war that has killed thousands, displaced millions, and left hundreds of thousands facing famine.
Just over a week after formal peace talks mediated by the African Union began in the South African capital Pretoria, delegates from both sides signed an agreement on a permanent cessation of hostilities. Obasanjo, a former Nigerian president, said the agreement also included restoration of law and order.
North Korea fired multiple ballistic missiles on Thursday, including one that triggered an alert for residents in parts of central and northern Japan to seek shelter. The latest in a record year of missile testing by the nuclear-armed North.
Despite an initial government warning that a missile had overflown Japan, Tokyo later said that was incorrect. The launches came a day after North Korea fired at least 23 missiles, the most in a single day, including one that landed off South Korea's coast for the first time.
Okay. Well, you know, one thing that really caught my attention there, Terry, is when they were talking about Benjamin Netanyahu's victory in Israel. And by the way, he ended up with like 64 seats. He only needed 61.
Oh, wonderful.
But
Wonderful.
They were talking about how he's aligned with extremist parties. Okay, now look, I pay for this stuff. Okay, and the reason that I pay for Alan Edwards News is because it's supposed to be white page news or something like that. Not supposed to take a position. Not supposed to be liberal. Not supposed to be conservative. I call that an epic fail by a newscast. I really do, because you know if they're going to label a political party in Israel extremist simply because they're conservative, then they're taking a liberal view. And believe me, Alan Edwards will hear from me on that coming up on Monday, because that is totally unacceptable. Okay, it's totally unacceptable. Yeah. That's not what I pay for, and I'm not going to put up with it without protest and without making my opinion known. Benjamin Netanyahu he destroyed the other parties there in Israel, because his popularity ranking in Israel is about 65%. In other words, if they held an election, they can call it extremist if they want, but that means that there's 65% of Israel is extremist because he is 65% popular, as opposed to President Biden, who is what, 30% popuper? Okay,
yeah.
I mean, do we really want to put this?
Padded.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's padded, and I kept up with polls. As I said, I've got a whole lot of information going out there, and here's what they tell me as far as polls go. I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but Democrats have an advantage in the polling. In other words, that you're going to see a higher concentration of Democrats. Now, look, that's not because they target it. That's not the reason. Okay. The reason is even more simple, it's more basic, and it's something that'll make you laugh. The reason is Republicans hang up on them. They don't have time. They've got a job and they want to work. Democrats with nothing to do have plenty of time to take polls. And that's a fact. Yeah. Look it up. That is a fact. Mm-hmm. Look it up. Okay? So that's
makes sense to me.
Yeah, so Republicans are underreported. Now, that should scare the daylights out of the Democrats in 2022, because all of these really close elections are all within the margin of error, and now figure in the polling data. Okay? So
yeah, there you go.
Okay, so now we'll get to all that in the second half of the show. Okay, I do want to concentrate on some things that are going on in the world, and this relates to Matthew 24, wars, rumors of wars. Australia is being sent by the United States some bombers that are capable of carrying nuclear weapons, and this is not making China happy. China is now, they actually sent a group of an air, what do you call it? A group of airplanes, fighter jets or whatever, toward Taiwan. So Taiwan went to whatever their high priority alert is. Of course, China turned around and went back. It was a test run. You know, it was a test run to see how fast Taiwan can react. That's what it was. Yeah. I mean, you know, that's just the way it is. Okay. Now, North Korea this morning, Saturday morning, they fired 4 short-range ballistic missiles into the Western Sea. that's right around Japan. Okay, so Japan has got to. They keep going on alert, off alert, on alert, off alert. You remember what I was talking about the other day about desensitization? This is what's happening. This is what's happening right now all over the place, okay? The wars and the rumors of wars are kicking up, okay? And these rumors of wars are going to start turning into hot wars. I promise you. It's going to happen. Yeah. So, just get ready for it. Now, there was, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this guy's name, okay? He's a member of the Israeli Knesset. He is a minister, okay? They call him an MK. We talked about this right before we went on the show, okay? Yeah. Now, he believes that Benjamin Netanyahu will act to thwart Iran's nuclear program during his upcoming term in office. Now, this is per Channel 12 News in Israel, okay? Now, this guy who is placed in the number 46 spot on the Likud slate and thus will not be in the next Knesset, so that frees him up to say whatever he wants to say. If there's anything that could be crucial in the next few months, it is the issue of Iran's nuclear program. We have already forgotten that there was a negotiation between Iran and world powers which has in essence ended. If this negotiation does not end in an agreement and the U.S. does not act independently, which is what I believe will happen, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will work, in my estimation, to destroy the nuclear facilities in Iran. If he does not do this, Israel will face an existential threat. Now, he was asked to clarify this. And he said, I believe it will have no choice. It's a similar story to 1981 with Meshem, again, names I can't pronounce here, who authorized the bombing of the Iraqi nuclear reactor, and 2007 when they authorized an airstrike against a suspected nuclear sector in Syria. Now, on the question of whether he heard this from Netanyahu himself or whether this was his own assessment, he replied, I'm talking about an assessment, but from an acquaintance of over 35 years with Netanyahu, I'm basing my assessment on the fact that when there is no choice, someone has to take command, and that someone will be Netanyahu. And I firmly believe that to be the case as well. What's your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that's the thing you can trust about Netanyahu. He says what he means, and he means what he says.
Absolutely.
And if this guy's that close to him, we're practically listening to Netanyahu in that regard. But I've heard Netanyahu over the years say things basically the same. I mean, he was saying that when he was out of office, and he still got elected. Right. Are you with me? Right. He still got elected.
Well,
the people are with him.
There you go. That's the point right there. Remember, 65%. And they understand that if Iran gets these nuclear weapons, and they do not believe that Israel has a right to exist, well, they're going to do everything to make sure Israel doesn't exist. It's just kind of a common sense thing.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So, okay. Again, we're talking Matthew 24 here. Wars, rumors of wars. We've already talked about Australia, right? Australia putting a strain on China, with China, which is, of course, a nuclear power. With Taiwan, again, against China, that same nuclear power. The United States now. Okay, here's where the United States begins to play into this, because we start to stretch our resources. So we're sending stuff now to Australia. President Biden has already said that we will act if China goes into Taiwan. Well, what if both happen at once? Okay. I'm just saying. What if?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Now that's only that. That's only there. Okay. That's only Australia and Taiwan. Okay, now let's add in the Ukraine. Okay, now I think it's pretty clear that we're already in a proxy war in Ukraine against Russia, and we continue. I don't know how much money we've sent to the Ukraine. Can you remember? Because I mean, it's an incredible amount of money.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've heard many billions, and when you get enough of them, you've got a trillion. So, I hate to even. Yeah,
I'm not going to go the trillion route, but I am going to say that it's in the millions, if not billions. And on top
no, it's in the billions. Yeah, I'm going to go firm on that. Okay, I'm going to go firm on that.
And then
it's billions.
And then on top of that, you've got the actual hardware. The missiles, the satellite systems, and all that kind of stuff. All that is playing into it too. So we're very much invested there. Russia's not about to come out. I mean, once they're in, they're in. They're not coming out. And again, my heart goes out to all you people that are listening to us over there in the Ukraine. And I know there's a bunch of you that do listen. And all I can say is, if you can get out, because things are not going to get good. There's almost no heating oil in the Ukraine. There's absolutely, with all of the power plants shut down and Russia in control of that, you're going to freeze, people. I mean, I hate to be brutal about it, but that's really what you're looking at. You're looking at a frigid winter. So if you can possibly get out of there, get out. So. One of the reasons that I brought that up is because the next report that I've got here from Biden, and this is almost incredible. This was late Thursday that he said this. Now, this was during a political rally, okay? And he actually said that we're going to free Iran.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I heard that.
He said, don't worry, we're going to free Iran. They're going to free themselves pretty soon. Now, this statement was, of course, heard by the Iranians, and they expressed outrage and viewed this as some type of a move toward regime change, okay? And so now you got Iran all worked up. Well, they hate us anyway, okay? But and they hate Israel, okay?
Yeah.
And again,
let's make a difference there. The government hates us. The people, there are a lot of pro-Americans among the population.
Agreed.
I had to throw that in.
Yeah, agreed. Now, there's protests going on still over the death of that 22-year-old. I'm going to attempt the name, and I'll probably butcher it. And y'all, please forgive me for that. 22-year-old Masha Amini. Now, she was taken into custody by, get this, the morality police. Because she didn't wear her beekeeper outfit correctly. So then they beat her to death, and then they told her parents she had a heart attack.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way
she may have had a heart attack.
No, she
may have had a heart attack. No, but stay with me. She may have had technically a heart attack because they beat her to death.
Yeah, they beat her to death. She didn't have any heart attack. I'm just going to be real blunt about that. She didn't have a heart attack.
I don't know that much about medicine.
The reason I say that is because her parents say there's no way she had a heart attack. Okay, that came directly from the parents. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna stick with them. But my whole point here, Terry, is that Matthew 24 is playing out when it comes to wars and rumors of wars. And when you really look at it, let's say the United States gets involved in all this. Okay, we get involved in Australia, we get involved in Taiwan, we get involved in the Ukraine. Okay, where else do we need to get involved in? Okay, now, the president has put a severe drain on our emergency fuel supplies. You know, he tapped that to where the price of gas would come down about 10 cents to try to save his butt in the midterms.
Yeah.
Mega fail.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, the Saudis are expecting to be attacked by Iran, and guess where they want to hit? Do you have any idea where they might want to hit? Think about it for just a second. Yeah. And really important to the world. Where do you think they want to hit?
Everywhere but the Temple Mount.
They want to hit. No. We're talking about Saudi Arabia. Iran wants to hit Saudi Arabia in the oil fields, oil production facilities,
then they want to hit Iran.
Drilling locations and all that. Saudi can't do. They can't do anything. They're asking for the United States to come to their aid. Well, the United States isn't going to come to their aid because Saudi Arabia lowered the amount of fuel that they're going to send and all that kind of stuff. The world is in chaos right now because we've got a really bad government in Washington that doesn't know how to stand up and do anything. Okay, we've ticked everybody in the world off by trying to play Mr. Nice Guy. We're bowing down to everybody in the evil world, and we're letting everybody in the good world look and wonder what in the world is going on with us. I mean, now again, that's opinion. That's opinion. Still, you can't expect the Saudis to up the oil production and ship it to us when we won't do anything for them. Okay.
But they wouldn't anyway. No, the Saudis are not. They like the fact that we're in a fix over here in America. They absolutely love it. They love the fact that Biden went crawling to them, begging for more. It's these people. They're pretending on camera. Oh, we're so sorry, but we just know this is a game, and this is what they're doing.
Well, you're half right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, you're half right. Okay, there was.
Give me the half that I'm wrong.
Okay, there was a Saudi member of the royal family. This happened previous to the 2020 election, and there was an individual who was killed. I believe. It might have even been here in the United States. I can't remember. It was like a lot like a mafia.
Washington.
Yeah, it was like a mafia hit. Just like a mafia hit.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes.
So Biden said that, he was going to do everything he could against this evil regime and against these evil people, and he was going to hold them accountable. Well, guess who he had to go beg from oil from? That same individual. That same guy.
They did a fist bump.
Yeah, so so that just shows that's the reason Saudis aren't going to help. That's the real reason, because they don't like for us to get involved in their politics. I mean, now look, we could have very easily said, hey, we condemn that and all that and leave all the other stuff out of it. He didn't have to say this man is evil, and he didn't have to go into all that. He could have said, well, this is a bad thing that happened, and we need to investigate that and then take whatever appropriate actions and drop it. Drop it, okay? And had he done that, we could have carried on a real investigation. We could have worked with Saudi Arabia and maybe come up with some kind of a resolution, but also keep good relations. Okay, but he didn't do that because Biden talks before he thinks, and when what he thinks, he doesn't need to be talking about. That's just the way it is.
Well, between me and you, I would much rather that he turn on the spigot here in America.
Yeah.
We don't need to be going begging people. We've got more oil than they do. If we get after it and start drilling it, and and I've heard this estimation given any number of times. So why go begging to communist countries and anybody else?
Well,
we've got it.
Let me tell you this. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. I promised I wasn't going to get like political, over the top political in the first half of the show, and I'm not going to. Okay,
right.
I'm saving what you're talking about for the second half of the show because I do have some information.
Well, let's do that.
Okay,
Let's
coming.
table it, and we'll get back to it.
Yeah, for those of you that want to, if you pick up the broadcast, you go to www.lastchristian.net. That's our, that's where the Last Christian Radio Show comes from. It'll be on there eventually tonight, and you'll be able to listen to it. It's about Senator Joe Manchin in West Virginia, just to let you know, and this guy's sometimes good, sometimes bad. He's kind of tries to play it down the middle or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, I think you'll find his comments interesting if you guys want to go hunt that up. And of course, everybody else, YouTube and all the other platforms you guys are going to hear it here. But anyway, I do want to remind you that Tuesday, Lord willing, we'll be back at 7:30 p.m. for everybody. And if you haven't accepted Jesus Christ yet, please do. That's the whole point of this entire broadcast. Just tell the Lord that you are a sinner and accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. Tell Him that you will work for Him all the remainder days of your life. You'll do everything that you possibly can. And believe me, when you do accept Jesus Christ, your world changes. It changes very, very quickly. But until Tuesday, we'll see you guys later on. Well, that music means that for some of you, this is the end of this edition of the internationally syndicated Last Christian Radio Show. If you would like to hear the second half of the show, we do invite you to visit www.lastchristian.net. That's www.lastchristian.net for all editions of the Last Christian Radio Show, and of course, also the Last Christian podcast that is heard every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. For everyone else, we'll be back after the break for the second half of the internationally syndicated Last Christian Radio Show.
The purpose of your life is far greater than your personal fulfillment, your peace of mind, or even your happiness. It's far greater than your family, your career, or even your wildest dreams and ambitions. If you want to know why you were placed on this planet, you must begin with God. You were born by His purpose and for His purpose. You see, God has a plan for your life. His plan was designed for you before you were even born. God is faithful, and He will work out His plan for your life. He will never let go of your hand. What He has started in you, He will bring to completion in His time and in His way. So hold on tightly to the promises of God and never let go. Declare, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. God Tracking is tracking the plans and purposes of God. I'm Dudley Anderson. This radio segment is produced by Sure Reality. You can find out more at the website surereality.net.
Conversations with Dawn Karima airs on Revelation Radio every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central Time. I'm Dr. Dawn Karima, a Native American Music Award winner, Indigenous Artist Activist Award winner, the winner of 2 Global Music Awards, and an Indigenous Music Award nominee. I am an award-winning author, filmmaker, media creator, artist, and Indigenous inspiration. But the greatest joy of my life is serving the Lord Jesus Christ and my beautiful Indigenous people. My home is the Qualla Boundary Reservation in Cherokee, North Carolina, in the midst of the Great Smoky Mountains. But we speak with people all over the world who are doing wonderful, dynamic things in their communities. And I hope you'll join us for our conversations on Conversations with Dawn Karima, right here on Revelation Radio.
KRRB Revelation Radio broadcasts to all 50 U.S. states and more than 160 countries around the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We offer the perfect platform for you to host your very own radio show locally, nationally, or to a worldwide audience. And if you're a podcaster or social media content creator, upgrade your productions to digital radio and explode your listening audience. gain new subscribers, be invited on other podcast or radio shows as a guest, or find guests for your productions. No matter your topic or genre, if it's suitable for all audiences and age groups, you're invited to join the Revelation Radio family. We know you'll love the results. But to make sure radio is for you, your first 90 days are absolutely free, without any obligation or hidden fees. For more information or to get started today, visit www.revelationradio.net or email us at info@revelationradio.net today.
KRRB DB, Grand Saline, Canton, Mineola, Texas.
Here's the latest from the KRRB newsroom.
This is the latest news headlines in 60 seconds with Alan Edwards.
Former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has won this week's Israeli election. Final results showed Thursday, clearing the way for him to return to power. A gunman opened fire at a protest rally in eastern Pakistan on Thursday, slightly wounding former Prime Minister Imran Khan in the leg and killing one of his supporters, his party and police said. The Ethiopian government and regional forces from Tigray agreed to cease hostilities, a dramatic diplomatic breakthrough 2 years into a war that has killed thousands. North Korea fired multiple ballistic missiles on Thursday, including one that triggered an alert for residents in parts of central and northern Japan to seek shelter. Representative Liz Cheney said the House January 6 committee is in talks with former President Donald Trump's lawyers about his potential testimony. That's the latest headlines in 60 seconds. I'm Alan Edwards.
Welcome back to the second half of the syndicated Last Christian Radio Show with J.D. Williams and TL Farley. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the second half of the show. And Terry, I'm not going to waste any time. We teased it right there at the end of the first half. And what I'm talking about here is Senator Joe Manchin. And this has to do with coal. Now, here in the United States, ever since we've been a country, at least when we discovered oil, we immediately began working with that. But coal has been at the heart of American energy since, the trains? Or was even before that?
Oh, yeah, they were using coal before that. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. For houses, for heating.
Okay.
You know, it became industrialized, but from the beginning they've been used.
Yeah. I'm not up to speed on all that stuff.
I'm not giving. Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm just saying, just from reading books and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know they. Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Well, now keep in mind that in West Virginia, Joe Manchin is, he's a senator. I think he's our longest serving senator, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
But he's a Democrat. But he's always been one of those Democrats that had some common sense. He was able to. There were a lot of times when he would go against the Democratic Party if he just thought they were, on the crazy train or whatever. But anyway, his support is crucial. And the one thing that you don't want to do if you're a Democrat president is tick off one of your best guys, biggest support and somebody that can bring in a state for you, even though I think West Virginia's gone for the Democrats. Hillary Clinton started it, and I think Biden's kind of finished it off. And if he hadn't, I think this one will. Okay, so this he said, and this is our president. He said this on the campaign trail. No one is building new coal plants because they can't rely on it, even if they have all the coal guaranteed for the rest of the existence of the plant. And I think he meant planet. So it's going to become a wind generation. And all they're doing is going to save them a hell of a lot of money and using the same transmission line that they transmitted the coal-fired electric on, we're going to be shutting these plants down all across America and having wind and solar power. That's what the President of the United States said. So now, how do you do how does wind go through the same transmission lines as coal? That's my first question. Any idea?
No, it's an excellent question, but I've got another question about that solar power. So far, it has failed everywhere they've tried to use it.
Yeah.
And they don't publicize it. They don't talk about it. But it's not drumming up anything that is enough to do anything.
Well,
it's all in Hollywood.
I'm not anti-solar. I'm not anti any type of what do they call it, renewables. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not anti that. Okay, we can use that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But why do we have to stop using what works? Okay, I mean, if you want to implement this stuff and then develop it over time to where it is consistent, that's fine. But I think we're a few decades away from being able to get there. So why don't we continue to use what we're using now, and then use the other stuff as a supplement to make it even more, to make it better, instead of shutting down your primary and go with something that doesn't really work very well. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, I'm not AOC either, so all right. So anyway,
praise the Lord.
All right, so,
I wouldn't be here.
All right. So now I was talking about the West Virginia senator there, right? So Senator Manchin, Senator Joe Manchin, he had an immediate response to this. Okay, because again, West Virginia, their primary thing is coal. I mean, that's like number one in West Virginia. Okay, so here's what he said in response. He said, "Let me be clear. This is something the president has never said to me. Being cavalier about the loss of coal jobs for men and women in West Virginia and across the country who literally put their lives on the line to help build and power this country is offensive and disgusting. The president owes these incredible workers an immediate and public apology, and it is time he learned a lesson that his words matter and have consequences. It seems his positions change depending on the audience and the politics of the day. Politicizing our nation's energy policies would only bring higher prices and more pain for the American people. President Biden's comments are not only outrageous and divorced from reality, they ignore the severe economic pain the American people are feeling because of rising energy costs. Comments like these are the reason the American people are losing trust in President Biden and instead believes he does not understand the need to have an all-in energy policy that would keep our nation totally energy independent and secure. Well, one correction for Mr. Manchin. We are no longer energy independent thanks to Mr. Biden, who did, as you mentioned, shut the spigot off from day one of his presidency. But,
yes, he did.
But what this does do is it tells West Virginia, don't vote for him. Don't vote for a Republican. I mean, don't vote for a Democrat. Only vote for a Republican. And there are some Republican people, and this isn't new, but it's just kind of upping the ante now. There are Republican senators going to him and saying, "Hey, why don't you change parties? Come on over. Get rid of Bumbling Joe and come on over to us." So where that goes, who knows? He can win whether he's a Republican or a Democrat. Doesn't matter.
And that's a perfect speech for him to give to keep himself in office.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The Republicans will vote. Oh well, Joe's okay. Yeah. Now, I got news for you. When it comes to important issues, he votes with the president.
Yeah.
And you can go back and look at the record on that.
Yeah.
Because you'll hear it. He'll be going with him, going with him, going with him. And then suddenly he'll step across the fence and he'll go with us.
Yeah.
I mean, and that guy needs to make
there have been, in his defense, there have been those times when he has gone the other way on big issues.
But he's not consistent.
Yeah. No,
He's
no.
not consistent.
Name me somebody that is. No, seriously. Name me somebody that is on any
are
part.
Right. You are right. But he's. Let me give you an example. He's one of the people that's getting the airplay. He's getting the attention, and with that kind of attention comes great responsibility, because there are a lot of people on both sides going both ways. I know that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, when you get some elevation, it becomes more obvious.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to step in as the voters and say, "No, buddy, I heard you before. You're out of here."
Yeah. Well, he's real popular in West Virginia. I don't think he's under any threat at all. So I would love to see him change parties simply because it would add to the Republican majority, which I believe is coming.
Well, him and Mitt Romney.
Oh, Mitt Romney. That's a whole different story there. I got zero respect for that guy. Okay.
Well, Joe's going to be mad that I linked him with Mitt.
I don't like him. No, I don't like him. I don't compare him at all with Manchin because I just think he's I can't tell you what I think he is. I can't do that. That's not Christian. Okay.
We're going political here.
Now, we do have Real Clear Politics is one of the things that I'm going to be doing when it comes on Tuesday. I'm already compiling data. I've already got polling that's going on here. Again, as a member of the U.S. Press Association, I can say this. And this is, I'll tell you what, this comes from KRRB Radio. How's that? This is the KRRB Radio projection of the election coming up.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. So, because I own the radio station. So, just
that's right.
Okay. So, anyway.
And I know you personally. So.
Yes, you do. So, Battle of the Senate. The KRRB radio projection stands that the net change for the Republicans is going to be plus 4. That the Republicans, at the end, when everything is done, will win a minimum, and I use the word minimum on purpose, that the Republicans will win a minimum of 54 Senate seats, and the Democrats will end up with 46 Senate seats.
Oh, I pray that's true.
The KRRB projection in the House of Representatives is that the Republicans will end the evening with 228 seats, and the Democrats will end with 174, and there are 33 that I cannot call or I cannot project. They are just too close to call at all. Okay, that's the projection. Y'all can go back and look at it on Tuesday. I've got it right here, so I'll go back and I'll look at it again Tuesday evening, and we'll see how close we came this far out. Go ahead.
It's going to be fun to go back, and I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah. So I kind of put my butt on the line on that one, but I've been watching these for a long period of time, and I'm just watching.
Well, you can give yourself you can give the folks a little idea of your background in like you were telling me the other night off the air. You've been involved in politics a long time.
If you call that involved in politics, yeah, I'll give you that. Terry's playing it up like I'm some kind of political scientist or something. Here's what the deal is.
But you were there.
I was a precinct chairman Now, believe it or not, for the Democrats, I was a Democrat precinct chairman who went around.
I didn't want you to go that far back.
Well, hey, if I'm going to be honest if I'm going to be honest, I got to be honest. So, I used to go and knock on people's door and say, please support this candidate that I don't even like. Okay, go ahead, please, because he's a Democrat and I'm a Democrat Party precinct chair. I want you to vote for this Democrat who, again, in many cases, I didn't even like him. Okay, and then I went to the polls and I sat up there and I did the 7-to-7 thing, and I carried the ballot box full of the locked votes, and I drove them from the city I lived in to downtown Dallas and dropped them off and went home and was exhausted, hungry and tired, and and then turned on the news, and of course Texas has been a Republican state for how long? Okay, so it was. I can't even remember when. Yeah. Did Jimmy Carter win in Texas the first time around, 76? I can't remember.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
I think he did. And I think that's the last time that that I had any success as Democratic precinct chairman. But anyway, that's my vast experience, Terry, is being being precinct chair. Okay.
Well, that's way ahead of me.
Yeah, but I have since I bought the station and gotten into a few more things available to me. I have been able to follow things a little bit more closely than a lot of people, and have a few more sources out there, and that's helpful. But there are, there's going to be some really interesting races come up Tuesday, and I hope everybody will pray on this. And again, I'm not asking you to vote for a party. I'm not asking you to vote for a Democrat. I'm not asking you to vote for a Republican or an independent. But what I'm asking you to do is, if you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus Christ, then it's really your responsibility. I think I can go that far. It's really your responsibility to vote for those candidates that align themselves with what the Bible teaches. I don't think that's too much of a stretch. I don't think that's pushing anybody too far. Do you?
No, that's actually exactly what they should be doing, and what we all should be doing. And that's, my wife and I went out and voted the other night, and that's what we did. Absolutely.
Well, I growing up as a small kid, I was probably maybe 6-7 years old. I had to be. I can actually tell you the exact year. It was 1972.
There you go.
Okay, I can tell you that. I was at my aunt's house, an aunt that I loved her. Okay, and I was just a fly on the wall, basically. I'm just a little kid running around the room there while the adults are having a conversation. And they were talking about the 1972 presidential election that was coming up. And it was between Richard Nixon and George McGovern. Okay? And so they were, who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to vote for? And everybody in the family, all the other relatives there, were saying, you've got to understand, what McGovern's all about. Like Nixon or not, you're going to have to swallow it and vote for this guy because, McGovern's a socialist or, communist or whatever, And she looked at them very, very sincerely and she said, look, I believe that McGovern is a louse, but I believe Nixon's a bigger louse, okay? And it will never be written on my tombstone that I ever voted for a Republican. And that was exactly what she said, okay? And believe it or not, I took that mantra. And that was my mantra until Barack Obama. After what I saw him do in 2 years, I was done, and I turned in my card with the Democratic Party, which I really had fallen out of favor with anyway. But I mean, they at that point, he went way over the top. It went way beyond anything I could support. And I didn't turn into a Republican. I turned into an independent, and I have stayed there. I'm still an independent. I vote for the person. I vote for the person that supports the principles of the good Lord. That's who I vote for. End of story. So you've heard my testimony on that. Go ahead. Whatever you want to add there.
No, I'm not. I haven't been real political in my life. I've tried to vote in each presidential election and anywhere else where I had an opportunity. But my bend was towards conservatism. And that's what I looked for when I was going to vote for somebody was did they have that stripe in them? And that was what I looked for.
Well,
and
everybody loved Reagan. Everybody loved Reagan, except me. I didn't like him. I'm just being honest with you. I did not like him. I did not like him, and the reason. For what reason? The reason. And now let me before everybody hangs up on me here and gives up hope on me. Understand this: I was still a Democrat at the time, so I was kind of like forced into not liking him. There was a lot of stuff he did I liked, but I didn't like him because he was popular enough. He kept winning. You know, he could always win, and I wanted a Democrat to win. I didn't want a Republican to win. But more than that, though, there was an incident at one time where they were talking to Nancy Reagan about something, and I can't remember if it was a fortune teller she went to, or it was one of those people that does this, looks at the stars and comes up, whatever those people are called. No. Okay, but she was giving advice to the President of the United States, her husband, based on that.
Yeah.
Okay, and that I didn't like. I didn't like it. It just rubbed me the wrong way. So I guess in reality, it's not that I was like anti-Reagan. I was anti-Nancy Reagan. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Reagan actually had Billy Graham come to the White House and witness to Nancy.
Oh, okay.
And that story never came out, but I read reports and so forth on it that he did that.
Well, I know Billy Graham, he went to the White House for every president until he couldn't go anymore.
And he did. Let me throw this in only because I'm remembering it. If you ever want to hear the story about the time I witnessed to a man in front of Ronald Reagan and the world press, I'll give you that one. But we'll save that. Maybe we'll have a slow moment on the Tuesday night.
Well, you already got me interested now. So I mean, are you telling me that Ronald Reagan was present when you did this?
He was the guest of honor.
Okay, so he heard you. He actually heard you. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if he heard me or not. He saw me. I was out in the middle of a basketball floor.
Oh, okay.
On
a microphone? Do you have a microphone or something?
No. I'm saying.
All right. Well, go ahead and tell me the story. I'm tired of guessing. Go ahead and tell me the story.
Okay. This was in '76.
Okay.
When he was trying to run for president. And he came to our campus. I was going to Tennessee Temple in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And somebody came running up to me and they said, "Did you hear Reagan's coming?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you going to go and see him? He's going to be in the gym." And I said, "Yeah, I'll be there." And he said, "They said you can't take a Bible." And I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'd just gotten saved a few years before that. I said, "I'm not going anywhere without a Bible." And so when I showed up, I went in and they took me to this FBI table and they opened up the Bible and he went through it. And while he was doing it, I pulled out a real shiny plastic card that looked just like him because he was in an FBI suit and all plastic shiny. And I slid that card over to him. And he never looked at it. And he put his hand down on the card, took the card, put it in his pocket and gave me my Bible and said, "Okay." I got inside. The place was packed. The only room was out there in the middle of the gym floor, and they were lined up. Well, we got in there early, so we were right up at the front row. So we're sitting there waiting. pretty soon here comes the entourage with all the Reagan and all the news people and all of that and all the people. And they get up on the stage and with the president of Temple and all that stuff. And they're all up there. And he's getting ready to make his speech. And they're singing, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they asked one of the finest professors at the school to open the thing in prayer. And this guy was just, everybody loved him. And he got up to pray. And I bowed my head, 10,000 people. We all bowed our heads. He's praying. And I heard something. And I couldn't believe it because you could hear a pin drop. And I heard somebody rustling around. I looked up and there was a young guy, a photographer, out in the middle of that part of the basketball court by the stage with everybody on it. And he was going through his camera, trying to fix it and get it ready to take pictures. And he had an old beat-up combat jacket on and the whole thing. And he's doing that. So when they finished praying, I got up and I slid under the rope and I walked out in the middle, and the whole place was just dead quiet. And I handed him the card. I had a card that was all beat up, looked just like him. He was all beat up. The card was all beat up, and it was "Give Your Life to Jesus." And I gave him the card. And while I'm witnessing to him, I realized the whole place is 10,000 people, including Reagan, are watching me. And so then here comes this cop, and he started, and boy, he was mad, and he was going to get me. So I backed up real slow, got underneath the rope, and he came up and stood right by the rope and just glared at me.
Yeah, you don't do that again. Yeah. One of these days I'll tell you my story about dealing with the United States Secret Service, because I had a really cool one. And this was not had nothing to do with being in politics or anything else. This was about my position with the airlines and a president coming to the airport that I was over at the time. And we had everything from, just to give you real fast here, and like I said, I would love to go into this. No, I'm going to give the teaser. I'm going to give the teaser
Tuesday
on this.
Night. Okay, the teaser.
I could tell you about having to actually call me. I was told by the United States Secret Service to call the White House. They gave me a number to call because we had a situation in which people could have been shot. Seriously. Okay, that's the only teaser you get.
That's
okay,
the teaser.
That's it. And that's
people, you gotta come next Tuesday night.
And that right there is the small part. That's just the small part. There's a lot more to it. Okay, we got way off track in the second half of the show. I really do apologize.
Can't forget it, though.
Yeah,
we can't forget it. That'll be the most exciting thing we do Tuesday night. But
anyway, apologize for that. But anyway, we are looking forward to talking about the election in detail when it comes to this coming up Tuesday night. Again, we will go on at 7:30 p.m. Central Time as usual. And then at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock, we're going to go into, and I haven't figured out how to title this yet, midterm election from a Christian perspective or something like that. But, it's going to be something like that is going to be what we do. And so, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It is going to be live. We are going to report on as many races as we possibly can. We'll give you real information. I'm not going to try to take any huge guesses or anything like that. You've heard my projections, but I'm going to try to back it up with facts come Tuesday. Terry said he has a curfew of 10 o'clock on Tuesday night.
Yes.
So he'll be with me till at least then, and after that, I can't promise you that you're going to hear from Terry. So anyway, if we get there for Tuesday night, I hope you guys will tune in. And until then, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hopefully we'll see you Tuesday night. Good night, and God bless.
Thanks again for joining us today for the Last Christian Radio Show. And be sure to tune in every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday right here on Revelation Radio. And don't forget to join us every Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Central for the Last Christian Podcast, now available on all major podcast platforms and at www.lastchristian.net. Until the trumpet sounds.